you're a fraud.
You're a liberal hack.
All right, hello everybody. Welcome to episode 8 of The Hack and the Fraud. My name's Ryan. I'm joined by Nicholas.
Hello.
And we just got back from seeing Nomadland at the cinema. Nomadland it's not the first movie by Chloe Zhao, but it's the first movie I've seen by Chloe Zhao. It was written, directed, and edited by Chloe Zhao. It stars Frances McDormand. It's a neo-Western, apparently, according to Wikipedia, it stars Frances McDormand as a woman who leaves home to travel around the American West. It features some supporting roles, but really, it is a Frances McDormand vehicle.
You are one of those lucky people that can travel anywhere.
Yes, ma'am, I know.
And they sometimes call you nomads.
My mom says that you're homeless. Is that true?
No, I'm not homeless. I'm just houseless. Not the same thing, right?
No.
Okay, Nicholas, Nomadland. I'm going to get it out of the way first. Normally, I ask you what you thought first.
I'd love if you go first.
I'm going to go first this time, and I'm going to say, wow, what a bloody feat of filmmaking that was.
Wow. Okay. I wasn't sure if you were going to really be on board with this.
I loved this movie.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm in love with this movie.
Yeah. I was thinking you might be lower than me, to be honest. And I'm
not possible, I don't think.
Right. No. I think that's definitely out of the question. I just thought maybe you were uncomfortable at some points in the movie.
I saw you being a bit uncomfortable. I think you you got further down in your chair as the movie went on. I could feel that you felt it was a bit long, maybe.
That was my back. I've got my back. I've been sort of having to deal with my back issues at the moment, so I'm just
carrying the podcast, right?
Carrying this bloody thing. So that's my age. I'm getting ancient. No, it's interesting. I'd love to hear. Okay, we'll start with.
Well, you're going to. That's the point of the podcast. You will hear what I think of the movie.
Well, let's try that.
That's crazy. Let's just talk about this movie. Why not?
Let's do it.
All right. So, what did I love about this movie? It's hard. It's hard to describe. The words in my mind was that it was kind of showing a life of quiet magnitude. That was the thought I had in my mind, because it's a very quiet movie about quiet people living small lives. And
I didn't really get that, to be honest. I didn't really get that. I guess that's what you're saying is the point of the movie. I didn't really arrive at that point, which is interesting.
What did you think the point of the movie was?
Oh, look, I took it as more of a sort of maybe a character study, and I thought it was
that's kind of what I mean. No, I mean, it's a character study of these people who are living these small lives. And you get to really, I mean, the whole point of the movie is the characters, although there is a little social commentary scattered throughout it. But the characters are what make this movie, even though there's no bombast to the characters. It's a very unromantic role for Frances McDormand, but my lord.
She really gives it everything. She gives it her whole heart and soul, absolutely. And she definitely drives this film. I was really pleased with the I guess the sort of associated additional cast of characters, which weren't really massive big name actors. I don't think I recognized a single one. But
three of them. So Swanky, the RV guy, the guy who sort of leads the camp, and one of the others, Linda May, are just real life people. They're just fictionalized versions of themselves, just van people.
Wow. Yeah. Well, they really portrayed that very. I know it's playing yourself, but it's to play yourself on screen.
Well, I thought they were real people.
Length. Yeah, I thought that was really well done. I thought 3 of the best acting moments on screen, or the most poignant, emotional moments that I was really able to connect with, were when they were actually on the screen. Those 3 characters you just mentioned.
Yeah, that's
obviously
right.
This was their first ever
acting.
First ever acting.
And they felt like real people, which is very hard to do when you're playing yourself, because most of the time you're playing yourself, it's just bad actors, because they're not real actors, right? But they didn't feel like actors. Somehow they were able to capture their own essence, the essence of people like them, without it ever coming across as bad acting at all.
Yeah, no. So that's I think they really hit home the point of the movie for me. You said it was like quiet people. That's the thing I think I disagree with. I think they were people that sort of took ownership of their own, not shortcomings, but they sort of, a lot of them were in retirement age, and they really kind of fought back against the sort of, sit
Yeah, that's
back
right.
and be quiet and do nothing. I thought they were living loud lives, if it makes sense. So
Yeah, no, I do understand what you mean. I don't necessarily mean that they're quiet in sort of a subdued way or a, what's the word when somebody comes over the top of you and silences you and makes you quiet. I don't mean
Right.
that. I just mean, you go to the movies. I mean, we just watched Justice League, for example, and these are just
Right, compared to that.
compared to Justice
Fair
League, but
enough,
compared
yeah.
to lots of movies where people are heroic. I mean, they're heroic in their own smaller ways. It is. I mean, it's a tale of these people after the Great Recession, after 2008, 2009, the financial crisis. Well, that's mainly the Frances McDormand character. The other ones have varying degrees of trauma, I suppose, and just different things that lead them to sort of disassociate from society as we know it, and sort of create their own little society.
and really, just take on that nomad, I guess.
Yeah, the nomad.
So that's what I think. Obviously we're kind of similar, just in the way but that's all good. Look, I really loved how they were the heart and soul of the movie, but I did have a lot of so I thought it was a great movie, maybe good to great.
Ooh,
So I'm not really that. I'm definitely not super high.
I'm super high.
Yeah, you should stop doing that for a pod. But I did have a couple of just points. Maybe you can sort of put my mind at ease.
All right, I'll do my best.
So I've got here listed. So it's very very like close comparison. So it's comparable. Is a movie called Into the Wild, which I'm sure you've seen.
Into the Wild? No, I haven't.
So I kept seeing a lot of that in this movie, and I thought
I'm aware of the plot. That's one of the reasons I haven't seen Into the Wild, is because I feel like I know it so much through osmosis of just everybody's talked about it. I know everything. So go on.
Yeah, so I really thought it had lots of pieces from that movie. I'm not saying
Sure.
it borrowed from it at all. I'm just saying it's a movie that explores the same ideas, I think. But I think it has a much better resolution than this film does in terms of...
Doesn't he just die?
No, I think it goes deeper than that. I think he sort of realizes... So he does the same thing. He lives a tramp lifestyle.
Yeah.
In that he goes off to Alaska and he essentially sort of kills himself at the end with eating the wrong berry. But
Yeah.
his realization at the end that he didn't share this with someone else is what
Sure.
really sort of hit home for the movie. And it kind of, in Nomadland, it sort of explores this a little bit, how the lead character leaves a hole in people's lives when she's not there, like with her sister. But it also, she doesn't really sell that enough for me, Frances McDormand, as this really eccentric, larger-than-life character. I didn't really see that character. I saw someone that was sort of
I think we saw
doing their own thing, sure,
Yeah.
but they weren't larger than life.
I think we saw the character
I thought the other
a
characters
lot later after she was that person, 30 years after she was that person, whereas now she's become insular, and you see little sparks of it. You see everyone that she interacts with kind of does like her to some degree, and she does have a little charisma coming through, but she's so broken from the traumas in her life that she's not that person anymore. But that hole still exists for those people. I found it very realistic. I don't think she would still be that sort of gregarious, larger-than-life character after everything she's been through. I thought that her portrayal was a very realistic version of somebody who once had that spark, maybe more overtly, that is now very an insular character. And that's why she couldn't connect with David, this guy that, clearly likes her. And she clearly has, something for him as well. But because of her past, because of what she's been through, she can't truly connect to him anymore. And thus she has to kind of just leave him because she doesn't have that ability.
Yeah, but I think from what I understood is that's been her whole life, though, is that she's sort of lived outside of the circles, or like But that's been her whole life. I don't think I know she's obviously a different person to how she was when she was with her former partner. Anyway, look, that's a good reason, but I just didn't really sell that for me. And I thought for all the side characters that come and go in the movie, they were really, there's something to them that was just really, I think it was very emotional, their scenes on screen. Especially, and after the first 15 minutes, I had no idea where this
How good
movie
was
going.
Swanky's monologue about how, she could have died happy a long time ago because of all the things she had seen while kayaking. Yeah. And the camera's just holding on her face for the entire monologue, essentially. But you're picturing what she's saying. That's I love that scene.
That was good. But yeah, so I think this is probably going to tie into why maybe Frances McDormand's character for me didn't land as well. I think the editing, I had a lot of problems with the editing.
Really?
So I did
Tell me
actually.
more. Sorry to say.
I said, remember, we're talking about jump cuts.
We were talking about jump
and
cuts
I
earlier.
just felt often what the movie would do, or what the director would do, would jump away from scenes where it just needed to linger a bit more, especially the emotional scenes. Not for the side characters, they did that very well, but for Frances McDormand on screen, where you're really sort of starting to get a glimpse into her. And it would conversely do the opposite for other scenes, where it just felt it lingered too long. And so I found that the flow of the movie didn't really...
Yeah, really.
really
Well, I mean, I
connect
think
for
that
me
that
as
might
much
be
as
one of those things that is what you're personally connecting to. Because I found myself wrapped throughout the whole movie. I was just kind of in the scene the whole time. And when it was short, I felt, it might have come across as an emotional scene, but the Frances McDormand character wasn't able to connect to it. And then the scene moves on. It keeps moving on in her life. And the whole movie is quite circular. She ends up right back at the start by the end of it. Not really spoilers, just the movie is kind of circular in that notion. The bits that did linger, I was connecting to them in the way that I feel the Frances McDormand character was connected. So I have never felt more connected to a middle-aged woman than I have Frances McDormand's character in this movie.
I mean, you have a mum, don't you?
Yes.
I
I'm connected to, but I don't feel my mother and I are the same person. And I don't feel Frances McDormand character, but I relate to the character in certain ways.
But I mean, you used to be the same person. You were in her womb.
All right, well, why
Quite
are
a
you going to
bit.
bring your fetish into the podcast,
I'm not
Nicholas?
bringing your fetish. It's just normally people have a connection with their mums.
Yeah, I know, but normally people don't bring up every time we hang out how we used to be in our mother's wombs, Nick.
It's just a really nice time. No, Mum, if you're listening to this, do not put me back in your womb, please.
I'm glad my mum doesn't listen to the podcast, actually. I know she says she does. Okay, Mum, if you do listen to the podcast, give me a ring on Monday when you've heard this. I doubt I'll get it.
She won't. I'll give you a ring. That's all right. Look, maybe...
Let's move past some other stuff.
Let's move past some other stuff.
I've been trying to tell you that for years.
I think, you've sort of you've answered why you had a connection with Frances McDormand, which is fair enough. So you was able to see. I think maybe it was just.
But the character, she wanted to move out of home as soon as she could. All that sort of stuff.
I had that a very similar character. Honestly, very similar character to the main in Into the Wild, which was played by Emil Hirsch, who was very good too. And I think he might have come off as a bit polarizing for some people as well.
Sure.
So I was able to connect with him a lot more than I was with Frances McDormand. But I think that was more as not from the acting. I think it was more from the style, from the editing, from the direction of the director. Look, I don't really know much about this director. I think she did some really great
She's
piece.
young.
I know she's been listed in the shortlist for the Oscars. She's probably a likely favorite, to be honest.
But I haven't seen a lot of the Best Picture nominations, but I wouldn't begrudge Nomadland at this stage.
Yeah, no, it's for me, it's an absolute front runner. I think my front runner, it wasn't even nominated. Obviously, I loved.
What was your front runner?
High Ground for me was really a great film.
It's not going to.
There's a reason I gave that 9 out of 10. But
yeah.
I think not to earn a single nomination was a bit strange, especially in cinematography.
It's an Australian movie. I mean, just how often do Australian movies get nominated?
Yeah, but I mean,
Best international feature, I
know, but we just had last year we had Parasite winning the best Oscar. So
yeah, that's different. You know why that's different.
It's a very great movie.
It's a great movie.
It's a super good movie.
But also, I mean, the Oscars are more likely to. They're not looking for Australian movies in the same way they're looking for South Korean movies.
I get that, but why Mank?
I know. But this is why the Oscars are bullshit. I mean, they don't watch enough movies. They watch movies about old Hollywood that are in black and white, and then they go, great, 10 nominations.
I guess, yeah. Okay, what can you say?
Yeah, what can you say?
Look, I think I said it very quickly before. First 15 minutes, I was really worried about the movie. I was like,
really?
Where is this going to take me? And I was worried it was going to be kind of a bit crap.
I was worried it was going to be boring.
Yeah, same. Yeah. I was worried about that. And I think it really went into a really great direction. That was, you say she's the vehicle for the movie. That's absolutely right. But I think, what was her name again? The older lady.
Swanky.
No, not Swanky, the one before.
Oh, Linda May.
Linda May. I think she really.
She's the heart. Yeah.
She initially brought me into the film. I think when she had that one-on-one chat in the van, and she was talking about why she is, I guess.
Yeah.
What her deal
Yeah,
is.
that's right.
I really liked her character, and I think I was able to really get myself in the movie from that point.
And yeah, well, now might be a good time to bring in the social commentary aspects of it, because she is talking about. I mean, this is a super feminist film in a way. Linda May, raised 2 daughters, worked her whole life since she was 12 years old, and when she got to a point where she might have to retire, she had $500 in her social security, and was like, "Oh shit, I'm gonna have to keep working." And how ridiculous is that? The main character works at Amazon, is a big part of it. She works at Amazon during the holiday period, and still doesn't have enough money for anything. Then she works through various industrial jobs. This is all after she. So it's set at the start. Frances McDormand is in Empire, Nevada. I assume this is a real story where the main plant that had been there for 88 years, that hired the whole town, just shut down overnight, and then the entire town just disappeared overnight, and they discontinued the zip code. And that is, the impetus for the whole movie. That's what drives the whole movie, is that as the backstory. And it kind of keeps coming back throughout the movie. She goes back to Amazon, and Amazon is like in, big wide angle shots of Amazon, and the facility is enormous and overwhelming. It's like a monster. I loved those elements of it as well. Obviously, I love those elements of it, because
I think
it's very much pro-worker and just anti, the society we live in.
It was anti-capitalism,
and also the society,
but not in a way that sort of it throws you off or makes you think, oh god, I don't want to be on this side. It's more like it presents the problems of capitalism, and that was really the retirement and the fact that one of the, I think it was Swanky possibly, or no, it was one of the unnamed characters actually brought up that her colleague was like a week or 6 weeks away from retirement and had his sailing boat in the driveway and never sailed it, and that was just like that was
worked his whole life,
and for what? And I thought that was a really great point.
And
it made great points. It was sort of scattered throughout the movie.
That's right. It wasn't in your face. It wasn't like a message movie.
Yeah,
it was just a movie that deals with the reality of these situations, and
made me want to quit my job tomorrow.
Yeah, that's right. Please subscribe to the Patreon. No, we should get a Patreon. What was I going to say? Yeah, and not just the capitalism, but just general sort of society, suburbia. The first scene where the character kind of is claustrophobic, because the movie's quite open. It's all staying at the national parks and desert and forest and just nature. And then when we finally come to suburbia, and she hangs out with her, her sister, who's middle class, and her husband, and like their friends, and they're talking about real estate and stuff, and she is suffocated, and it was just perfectly shot, perfectly edited. I don't know what it was, but going from that sort of freedom of the van life and then bringing the film into suburbia, I felt suffocated. As soon as they started talking about real estate and the prices going up and all this sort of stuff, I was like, oh my God, I want to kill myself. And I totally understood what Frances McDormand character was going through at that stage. I love that as well.
I think that's maybe because you saw a lot of what your ideals in her.
Yeah, that's right. But I think this movie is, and the characters in this movie are the 10% of people that just don't feel like they fit into society. They'll never be happy, and that's why she can't stay with David. She can't stay in this like perfect little family house, because that's not her, and that's never going to be her. The movie almost gives you the happy ending, but it's not a happy ending for her, and she just can't deal with that. She's never gonna be happy in that.
I think that was never a realistic happy ending. It's almost like that was her and David. Her and David were my least liked relationship in the movie.
Yeah,
and I felt
they didn't.
Felt she tried to force that.
Yeah, they tried to force it
in a good way, like as in like she's trying, like as in it wasn't like a mistake of the director.
No,
it's more like,
is there love out there? Can she was seeing in herself if she could love
good
again.
That they subverted that.
Yeah,
I was really
agree.
Happy that they did that.
Yeah, no, that's right. And that's what I keep going back to with this movie is it's uncompromising reality. And especially after watching Justice League, to see a movie with no CGI, no ground exploding, it's so physical. I loved it. So also the music. Love the music. What do you think of that?
I really liked it too. I thought it sometimes clashed with what was happening on screen. There was a time where they had the score and it was overlapping this fellow
playing the guitar. I noticed that too, and I was wondering whether I thought that's bad filmmaking, because they've got the guitar playing because she's living in this scene, this camp by a scene with these guys and they're playing guitar, and then the score kind of comes over the top and kind of clashes with it. But it kind of made sense to me because the music is what's happening in her world in reality, the guitar. But the score is what she's actually feeling. And so I kind of liked it in a way.
Okay, yeah. I think I didn't see it that way. But that's like one couple of moments like that. I can't remember other ones. But overall, I did really like the score, though. I think it kind of was just a nice little...
Mainly piano,
but it was just...
And I compared it to
wasn't
The Dig,
overbearing.
which was a mainly piano score as well, which I hated.
Yeah.
And it's so interesting how, both mainly piano scores, I wouldn't even know how to describe their difference, but I hated The Dig and the score. And in this movie, it was uplifting, it was moving, it was melancholy, it was tragic, it was sorrowful, and it runs the whole gamut of emotions that Frances McDormand and really complex emotions, because you wouldn't say she's depressed, you wouldn't say she's happy, she's just kind of living in a way, but with complex emotions weaving through it, and the score managed to capture that, and I think so did the camera and the editing. I know you didn't love the editing, but there was something about it for me that for me, like I said at the start of the review, it's a feat of filmmaking. I was really impressed, especially because I've never seen anything by the director. I was expecting great things from Frances McDormand, but and I know it had been nominated for Best Picture, but it did blow me away. It's one of those movies that comes along once in a while that is just it seems special to me. I'm like, this is a special film.
No, that's fair enough. You very like honest reasons, and it's just, I think it's just come down to like I didn't love the editing, but I don't think
it hits all my buttons.
I'm not saying that the editing was wrong. It's just, for me, it was just I felt I think I said it was just the sort of not the tone, but the flow. I guess the sort of rhythm of the movie was disrupted by that. But I also want to bring up, I thought I know we always say cinematography, but I really just loved it, especially when you said melancholy before. I think they were my favorite parts. They were my favorite scenes, where it was just a real melancholy, cloudy, almost rainy, blue.
The beach scene was great.
I really liked those. Not the beach scene.
No, really,
I really love the scene where she's just driving and it's just like a blue day. I love those scenes.
Yeah, me too. You'd never really seen the break, because there's a lot of shots throughout the movie, kind of like as she goes to each new area, when she moves the van, there's just like a shot of the camera following the van in the exact same way multiple times throughout the movie. And that's the only time you see like the brake lights in that blue day where it's kind of drizzly and rainy. And I don't know what it was, but I really noticed that they did that. And I feel like everything in this movie was all the shots were very carefully chosen. So,
Look, despite all that, we've had a lot of very positive sort of points to the movie. I think I really am stuck on the editing for me. Like, I really am stuck. And so I feel that's going to affect my score. I've given it a 7.5.
Oh, wow.
It's not super low. Come on.
It's not super low, but...
It's 3.5. Like, if I got a score like 7.5 out of 10 at uni, maybe I would have got my degree.
Well, before I get into... What about the writing? What about the general plot of the movie?
Yeah, but like you said, it goes around in a circle. I don't really think... I can't help but compare it to Into the Wild. I just think that movie's resolution's just so much more... lands for me a lot. I can't help but compare it with that movie.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's the
I haven't seen that
iteration of this movie. I know they're not...
I like the resolution that she kind of realizes she has to be alone from now.
Yeah, I mean, that's what you took from it. I didn't really kind of get that.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, when she goes back and visits her, I mean, I think it's clear when a character
I felt she was really sad. Whenever she was
really
alone,
sad.
she was really alone. She felt, I could see just how alone she was. And I get that she's maybe afraid to sort of come out.
I think it's that...
She was at an absolute...
It's being with people is more tiring and more hard on her than being alone.
I didn't say that.
Well, I mean, and also I think the trauma of losing her husband is something that keeps her alone, because like earlier in the movie, a character asks her if she's married. She says, I am married, but my husband passed. Rather than saying, I thought she was going to say I was married, but she says, I am married, which kind of indicates where her character is at. And maybe there's more to her character's journey after the movie, but where she is, I really liked at the end of the movie, she hadn't, because that's real life. A lot of people don't have these just moments where they realize something and go, oh, right, I've been waiting for this realization. Now I'm cured. You know, for her, she was just like, no realization, just keep going.
But for me, that wasn't really, I don't think it's conveyed as well it was for perhaps you.
Yeah, it felt intrinsic to me. I was like, yes, this makes sense. You're speaking my language.
Another example is Manchester by the Sea, where there is no character resolution, but it's perfect for that film. His resolution is that there is no resolution.
That's more overt, yeah.
I know it's more overt, but it's also, it's like, okay, but the writing makes it super overt, whereas I don't feel...
Well, the character is like, I can't do that. I can't be your fun uncle or whatever.
Yeah, but it's set in a moment of...
It's great. No, don't get me wrong. I love Manchester by the Sea, and I think it is a different, but very good movie.
But it's set in the... Like, I think when he's finally able to say it, that's almost like the resolution, because he just wasn't able to... He's essentially shut off.
I feel like Frances McDormand is saying it through her looks.
I didn't get that. I got that through like a lot of the other characters. I honestly did. But I just didn't get it through Frances McDormand. She's probably going to win the Oscar.
So
anyway.
what did you think of Frances?
I think she's probably going to win this Oscar.
Do you think she deserves it?
Yeah. Well, I mean, like from like every performance that I've seen, that's like it's like
you highly rate this performance.
Yeah, of course I do. Yeah.
Okay.
No, I'm gonna.
I mean, let's talk about her performance.
But she's not
a bit.
favorite to win the Oscar. I did have a look, and it's actually going to be Carey Mulligan, as in that she's
Promising Young Woman.
For Promising Young Woman, which
I haven't seen Promising Young.
Strange, but
yeah. Well, I mean, this is a role like her one of her first scenes is her like with her pants down, pissing by the side of the road, and then shaking off her like it's full on. And there's a scene where she shits in the RV and she's.
You could tell it was a real shit, couldn't you? Yeah. I like to think it was a real shit.
I like to think it was too. Yeah, she's a method actress. That's the thing. Yeah. It's not a very glamorous role. It is in the sense of like high prestige. But I respect this. That
I get that. Yeah, no, it's absolutely. She's leaving everything out on the screen. It's probably not her best ever. I really think Fargo. I even liked her. I didn't love the movie, but Three Billboards. I really think her performance is great.
You didn't what? Three Billboards?
I didn't love it.
Oh my lord!
So
I didn't know this about you.
Yeah, no, you did know.
I didn't know this about Three Billboards.
It's not that good. It's really not that
it
good.
is.
No, it's not.
It's his masterpiece. It's a 10.
Isn't this the guy that did
In Bruges?
Is that not his masterpiece already?
That's also fucking excellent, and this is just that one.
He's already
step
done his
further.
masterpiece. Anyway, IMDb.
It's
We can
too
get
funny.
into this later.
All right.
7.6 IMDb. So I'm sitting with the audience.
With the
You're
crowd.
closer probably to the Metascore. The Metascore is very high, 93.
Yeah.
Is that where you are?
Yeah, that's about where I'm gonna look. It's close. It's very close, but I think I'll have to give it a 9.5, just because there were some moments during the movie where I was like, maybe this could be tightened, the pacing or something. It kind of did slow throughout. There were just some moments where I'm like, for me, a 10 has to be like nothing. I'm in the movie the whole time, perfect, done. Like no thinking about it in the outskirts of the, on the edges of the movie. And there was a little bit of like, where is this going? What's happening? This is taking a while. Not sure what the point of this scene is. But when it all came together for me, but just because I had those little moments, they're really nitpicks, because for the most part, I was enthralled. I was engrossed. It was a joy. I loved watching this movie.
That's fair enough. So you're about 90,
9.5. We'll call it a 9.5.
9.5. So yeah, look, I think that's another key for me. I just like, would I watch this movie again at any time? To be honest, I don't see it.
I would do to show somebody else how great is this movie.
Right,
but it's certainly not. I say I really enjoyed watching it. It wasn't fun. It was just, I was like, yes, wow, great, well done. And I would love to show somebody else who hasn't seen it, like your partner or something, and go like, wow, how good was that? But no, probably won't watch it again by myself.
Will you say those words?
Wow, how great was that?
Yeah.
Cinema.
I think that's what's going to sell it. That should be on the tagline for this movie. Wow.
Well, one day we
How
will
good was that?
hack in the fraud. It'll be like Guardian, Daily Telegraph, hack in the fraud.
And it's going to have my little 3.5 or whatever it is.
The Snyder Cut 3.
Snyder Cut. All right. So closing thoughts.
I mean, yeah, that was pretty much it. Highly recommend this movie. Chloe Zhao, great effort.
Good from you.
Good from you. Frances McDormand, a joy. The supporting cast of unknowns, non-actors,
Keep acting. Seriously, you're great.
Yeah, that's right. I think this is a movie that a lot of people can enjoy. I think it doesn't really have a demographic.
Yeah, I think it's probably catered towards an older demographic. I
Sure.
do think.
Teens might not get a massive kick out of
Yeah,
it, but
yeah.
everyone else, I don't give a fuck about teens. I'm talking about adult demographics of the people who are grown up and human beings and not just children. I think everybody can get something out of this movie.
Yeah. I mean, I wish I was a teen today. I would have got a really nice, cheap movie deal. It was hard, it was like student night today.
It was.
We had to pay full
We don't
price
need-
like an adult schmuck.
I tagged Dendy, so I'm sure by next week we'll be on the payroll.
We're begging, Dendy. We are begging. We should do a good tagline for Dendy. The only place you can actually watch a movie and just not have a worry. Every place, the Hoyt staff are gonna come and get you. They're gonna come
I've
and
heard
kick
that.
you out. They hate you. They don't want you there. You sit in the chair and you push it back, and then you're like, how do I sit up and how do I get back?
Anyway, what's your sign off
Sign off.
catchphrase?
You
You have a whole week to work on this.
I do. I
and then
really
you
don't. I've had 3 days.
Well, you didn't have one last. Your last one was no.
Yeah, I didn't do one last week.
The fans.
should be-
That was the main comment from
Where's
the
my
fans.
tagline?
Was where's the tagline?
Yeah.
All right, that's been episode 8 of The Hack and the Fraud. Thank you for joining us. He's been Nick. I've been Ryan. We'll see you next week for some movie. We'll figure it out then. Thank you.